Hello and welcome to another AGD tutorial, and this is an extra video that I hadn't planned but I thought it might be useful. I'm going to show you a new little routine that I've written that will allow you to detect blocks from the line and column that you have specified. So what you do is you specify the line and column, run the routine, and it will tell you exactly what type of block is in that location. Now this actually uses ASM. I know some of you are a little wary about using ASM, but you don't need any knowledge of assembly to do this. All you have to do is load the code into your game and it will run from the editor, and you can see it running. You don't need to change anything. It's just like any other command, really. Very simple and straightforward. So let's take a look first of all at exactly how it works. So I've got a little demonstration routine here that I'll also make available on the Facebook page, and as you can see I've got several different types of block here that I've set up, and as I move this arrow, which is a sprite, it's detecting which type of block is in the top left hand corner of the sprite. You can see here deadly, and there's an empty space, and so on. So it can detect all the different types of block rather than just deadly or custom. This can actually detect any type of block, even an empty block. So let's go back and look at a fresh start version. This is AGDX, the version that David and I worked on. It will work with standard AGD, but I prefer using this version from now on. If the commands aren't familiar to you, then you can always check out the video that I made about this this update, but it shouldn't really be a problem. It's the commands are almost the same. They're just a little bit shorter, really. So and as I go through, I'll comment on the actual original commands anyway. So to do this, the thing that we have to do is load a small bit of code into the character set. So where I'm going to load it into is just here. These characters are practically unused by most people, so we can quite happily store a small routine inside those 4 characters there. You could store them in other places, you know, across here, maybe if you don't use small letters, if you've got longer routines and so on. But for now I'm going to show you how to load a small binary into there and then how to run it. So you have to have the character set open. You then choose to load binary data, or in Spectaculator that would be load machine code. You choose your file, which again I'll make available. In this case you can see it's called 31704 block type. Okay, so we'll pick this one, and I've written 31704 there to help you to know exactly where it should load in. So it's actually in the file name. You can read it off from the top there. So 31704, as you can see, it's only 27 bytes. It's not a big file at all. And so we just press OK and load it in. Now it doesn't look like anything's happened, but if I go back to the character set now, you will see, let's just click on there we go. You will see that those 4 characters have been replaced with what looks like a sort of garbled mess, but that's the actual code itself. So don't change any of those letters there. That's now a new command for you to use in AGD, basically a detect block command. Right, so let's take a look at the actual code now to show you how this this command works. As I said, all you do is set the line and the column to the one that you want to identify, and then you run the routine, and then it will return the value to you. So if I now go to the code that I've already created and have a look in here, we'll see what's happening. So as you can see, what I've got here is well, actually I think what we'll do before we do this, let's go back. Let's jump back a second. I'll show you the sprite first. That probably makes sense. Okay, so here's the sprite, as you can see, and it's the top corner here that I've put the arrow, because when you run a routine like this, if you convert your X and Y coordinates to line and column, it will convert it to this top left block. If you imagine a sprite as though it's 4 blocks, then it will center itself on this area here. So obviously if you want to detect something in another part of the sprite, or just below or to the left or the right, you'd have to adjust your X and Y coordinates accordingly. So here though, what we're doing then is we're just looking at that top left corner. So we start by telling line and column to be X and Y. Obviously that would be way off the screen, but we then divide it by 8. We divide line by 8 and column by 8, and that will give us, as I said, the line and column position of the top left hand corner of the sprite. And that's really all we need to know from that point, because then we run the ASM here, ASM 205, 216, 123. You need all three of those. But the thing to think about here is just imagine that is just a simple single command which is going to basically detect the block for you. You could imagine in fact that, say, it was just set something like this, detect block. Now if it was a command like that, you would be quite happy to use it, so there's really nothing to worry about here. It's not going to crash or anything like that. It's quite stable. So yeah, you type this code in and it runs it. Now what it actually does is it looks at what your current line and column are, so you can define them if you want to. It runs the routine and it stores them in the variable opt, which is actually the one that's used for menu options. It's probably the least used variable in AGD, which is why I chose it. And it's the most sensible option here, so that it doesn't interfere with any of your other variables, hopefully. Okay, well, I guess that is just about it, really. It's a pretty straightforward routine. I hope you feel confident enough to try it and give it a go. And I'll be back soon with another video. If you have any questions, you can always look me up on the Facebook group, or you can ask questions down below as well. I'll be happy to answer them if I have time. In the meantime, keep enjoying the Spectrum, keep enjoying AGD, and I will see you all soon. Happy coding! Bye bye!